Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. I'm your co-host Ashton here with my awesome co-host Zach. And midnight mode success, Zach. The Rams get out of a very, let's say, grimy divisional, tough it out defensive battle. This and we kind of talked about it a little bit before we went live. This is a very there are some wins or some losses where you just don't have a lot to talk about, and there's not a lot of layers to the game. There's a lot of layers to this game to go over and get into. So if you guys are watching us live, feel free to comment down below. We'll even post the link. So if you guys want to come on and tell us your thoughts about the game, give us your reactions, your positives, your negatives, please do that. Or if not, like I said, and subscribe and comment down below your positives and negatives from the game. But Zach, the Rams win off of a missed Myers field goal, a 63-yarder. It would have matched, I believe, his career long. And
61.
61, sorry. Yeah, a tough kick. I know we see that a lot now in the NFL, 60-plus yarders being made, but they're still not automatic. And Myers is a good kicker, and we can kind of get into that in the gameplay sequence by the defense and the good and bad that came with that. But what's your reaction to this game?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the defense have won this game. The offense came out pretty hot, I think. The offense came out pretty strong, especially in the first quarter. But really, it became a defensive battle throughout the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Defense held super strong. You couldn't really ask for much more from that defense. It was really the offense that did, and the offense has acknowledged it. Devontae Adams has come out and said it. I think Stafford has come out and said it too. Like, they were not happy with their offensive performance, and I don't think neither were we. The only person who really was successful in tonight's game on the offensive side was Kyren Williams, and that kind of says a lot for that. So. Yeah, otherwise it was a good win for the team. I think it was definitely a needed win, especially for the NFC West battle. And when you're talking about playing for home field advantage and potential buys and stuff like that, these are the games that you have to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very huge for seeding. We'll kind of get into that probably near the end of the pod, but shout out to our guest from our last podcast, Bryce. He kind of nailed this game on the head when it came down to it being a defensive struggle. Really good breakdown about the Seahawks team. If you guys want to go back and watch that podcast, he had a lot of good insight. And I think, Zach, we can kind of start off with the offense. And you said it best, credit where credit is due. Like, the Seattle defense is the real deal. They are really good. But in my opinion, Zach, I thought this was another game where I would say half of the problems on offense were caused by Seattle. I'll give them credit there. But the other half were self-inflicted, either bad penalties that you don't see on this team or drops. Like, the wide receivers, Puka and Devontae, they all struggled, and not just struggled in the sense of they were getting covered and couldn't get separation. They were getting separation, and either Stafford just wasn't on the money like he normally is, or they weren't catching. I wouldn't call them easy catches, but they weren't catching the hard balls that we know Puka and Devontae can catch on a regular basis. More Puka now than Devontae, but we know these guys can make crazy plays. And it's just something we haven't seen before is they were unable to, and they looked human this game, and we were still able to put up 21 against a really talented defense.
Yeah, and again, I go back to it. Was the offense did what it needed to do? It put up 21 points. We didn't have to settle for field goals, which the Rams and Sean McVay were very, especially in the first half. They were very aggressive with going down on it on fourth down, but
which shouldn't have been fourth down that first time. Can we establish that spot of the ball was really bad, especially when they had the pylon cam of him reaching and it very clearly going past the pylon cam.
I'm not exactly sure what was called for that. I agree with you. I don't know. The pylon cam I thought was the best picture of it. I don't know. They got GPS trackers in those balls, so you would think that they would get it more right.
No, that's too much work. But the crazy thing was when McVay got that challenge in, it looked like Puka was going to get a touchdown. Now
Yeah,
you
but
have to
I
play
don't.
it out,
Yeah,
and
I think
people
the
stop
whistle
through
kind
the
of stopped the
whistle.
defense. Yeah, I think the
So
defense kind of stopped once they heard the field. So I saw
who
that too,
knows?
but then I felt like maybe the whistle kind of blew everything dead. Um,
But
so
we'll see. Uh, uh, the Rams didn't convert on that fourth down, and it felt kind of like a missed opportunity. Are you concerned about the kicking game in the sense, and we can go more positives after this, the fact that they did
yeah,
not kick within the 15-yard line in that situation?
no, because I think that the Rams knew. I mean, remember this was their first drive to a team that is consistently putting up 30 plus points every week. And so I think McVay was going to be aggressive, especially if they were within the 15 yards
Mhm.
of the goal line. If it was anything farther back or it was more than 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, I think that they would have gone for the field goal. But because it was such short yardage to the goal line, and as a whole, I think that was the reason why statistically it made more sense to go for it.
Mhm. Yeah, so let's talk about positives first. And biggest positive, one of his best games of his career. Not the best, but it's probably in his top five. Kyron Williams, he had his, I don't think it's his most explosive run, but it's up there like a
It is.
35
Well,
yarder.
it's his
I
most
think he had a
explosive of
40
the
yarder
year. Yeah, it's
of
his most
this year,
explosive of this
but
year. Yeah.
really good run by him, breaking tackles, and he was doing that all night. I would say like he probably accounted for what half of our chunk plays just by himself. So he looked like he was really good. Um,
So
Parkinson had a
let's
really good touchdown, uh, but he had other plays like two bad penalties. He had a miss blocked on third on that Puka. It was like a third screen to Puka or a handoff to Puka. I can't remember which, but he missed a block there that could have probably got us the first down and won the game, or at least made it where Seattle only had like 30 seconds left.
quickly going back to Kyron, thought he had a great game. Like you said, he had
Yeah.
two big runs, 2 plus 30 runs, which I think is something that has been very critical of Kyron Williams since he's been a Ram, is that he's not explosive enough. I think that hopefully helps a little bit in showing that he does have that ability to be explosive. It just doesn't happen all that often. But 2 plus 30 runs, 1 touchdown, 91 yards, averaging 7.6 per carry. He didn't have a whole lot of opportunities, especially in the first half. I mean, they had 2 or 3 plays in the whole second quarter.
Yeah.
And they really didn't have a whole lot going in the third quarter either.
They were really cycling in Blake Corum, who had, I would say, probably his worst game of the season.
I would say that's probably accurate. I mean,
Now,
he averaged less than 1.5 yards per carry on his 8 carries. I do think, we criticize McVay when he consistently plays just the hot hand and doesn't give Kyron the ability to rest and whatnot. Sometimes we think he's overutilized, which then I think causes some of those errors and some of those turnover battles.
mhm.
But in this case, when Blake Corum literally is not being able to do anything, you need to be able to switch and stop having these solo drives, which is what McVay has been doing really since Blake Corum has come on, and they really wanted to play this dual running back game. And they need to stop with that. Let's put in the player who you need. You could still get 50-50 touches. I'm fine with splitting it touches, but let's not just continually push this is going to be the Kyron Williams drive, and this is going to be the Blake Corum drive. And I think that's what's putting us in these rough spots. And I'm glad that the one touchdown for Kyron Williams, it took 2 or 3 Blake Corum calls to finally put in Kyron Williams, and he got in with
Uh,
ease.
I would say in defense, in there, at least for Corm on that red zone, it was kind of like basic play calling at that point in time because we couldn't throw and we've been struggling all game. So, and I noticed this for both teams, they could not run down the middle. And Kyron struggled down the middle too. It was only when he bounced it outside we started getting bigger chunk plays from Kyron. Corn just never bounced it outside. I would say his running vision definitely needs to grow a little bit, especially for a game against a D line this talented. And they're a really talented D line. And they gave our O line a really, really tough time. Like, I guess we can talk about Rob Havenstein a little bit later. He really struggled in pass protection. I would say Lyric had a good day for the most part. Stafford was pretty clean. It was more necessarily with the running game. I thought they had to bounce it outside every time, and it was just tough. It was really tough for this O-line to get pushed up front down the middle.
I'm gonna put this one out here.
His game.
I'm gonna go with this comment real quick. Seattle's is better. They were not playing good defense. I disagree with this. I think that they were playing great defense. I think that it was Darnold who put them into terrible positions. Two of those interceptions turned into touchdowns, and I really think that's what kind of blew it for the Seahawks. I don't disagree that Seahawks is a good team. I don't want to face them in the playoffs. I would like to stay away from them because I think they are a really good defense. But I do think that our offense is in whole better as far as complete personnel packages as far of the offense.
And the vet QB, like there were a lot of times where Stafford just threw the ball away. And I know it frustrated us, but that's the difference between a vet that's done it as long as Stafford, knowing when to give up on a play and just punt, and Darnold throwing picks, getting us in the red zone.
Yeah, I mean, at least two of those picks were panic throws.
Yeah, and let me just touch on this real quickly with the defenses. I thought both offenses this week had a lot of execution issues, partially because of the defenses being as good as they are, but also because they were just rushing, expecting pressure that didn't really come. And you could see in the second half, at least our defense started applying real good pressure, and that was impacting severely the Seattle offense. But you could tell Darnold was expecting when he had a cleaner pocket. It wasn't a perfect pocket, but it wasn't a clean pocket. And it was clean enough in the NFL. You should be able to make a throw downfield. And they had some people, but it got to a point where you could tell he was trying to rush the play along versus what they had right then and there. And so, in my personal opinion, I think both offenses shot themselves in the foot this week. And the defenses both could have been better, and that's kind of crazy to say given the score.
Yeah, I mean the difference between the Rams offense and the Seahawks offense was, yes, did the Seahawks move the ball better? Sure. They did. They got 279. Darnold threw for 279 yards. Stafford only threw for 130 yards. But the offense still played more clean. They had one fumble turnover, which was Puka's first career forced fumble. And
Seattle had
obviously
a fumble too.
It was a punch out, but so there were turnovers kind of on both ends of it, but the Rams played more clean. Obviously, neither team actually got home for a sack, but 4 interceptions is really hard to overcome. Obviously, the Seahawks almost did it, but again, it comes down to the defenses, and I think the Rams defense ended up as a whole playing a lot better than the Seahawks defense.
Well, I mean, Zach, we previewed it very perfectly, and if you're a Seahawks fan watching, you would have known going into this game if you watched our podcast. Our defense gives up yards because it's designed to stop the explosive play. And we do not care if you get into the red zone,
No,
because
not at
if
all.
you're patient enough, you can get checkdowns all you want, and we don't
Yep.
care. Our big thing is make the tackle, don't allow yak. And when you get in the red zone, we're going to try to get a turnover or force you to field goals. What happened this game? All that happened outside of one drive.
Yeah.
And that
I
is
mean,
how this defense is designed to win games.
over the last 13 games, the Rams have, or over the last 13 games, over the last 5 games, the Rams have only allowed an average of 13 points. And so and going into this game, we were second in points against. Our defense was holding every offense to, low numbers. We said if this Rams defense can hold a team to under 20 points, the likelihood the Rams are going to win is super high. And it continued again this week. Obviously, it was close to the very end. Some things that I wish we would have taken back, but overall, the Rams won by their defense.
Yeah. And good pivot, Zach. If you guys are listening and watching, please tell us and comment down below what was your favorite offensive plays from this game. And if you're watching us live, please comment down below or comment in the chat. We love interacting with y'all. And if you want to come on, just mention it and we'll try to post something. But Zach, this defense is so many defensive plays, but we talked about it in the preview. The Seattle guy was very, let's say, interested in how this cornerback room would perform against a really talented wide receiver core, especially getting Shaheed up in there. And the DBs, they had the best game of the season from that entire position group. The fact that we had 3 DBs get picks, Kitchens got 2. It was a really good day in the office. And Manuel Forbes, he had a few penalties that we can talk about, but that breakup on Shaheed was a fantastic play. He has kind of grown, and you can see his confidence growing now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, you saw that, really quite a bit with him, and yes, you're gonna get people who are gonna say, he had some holding calls or some pass interference calls that should have been called. So sure, those things are going to happen. They're going to get missed. Hey, I think there was a bunch of holding on the Seahawks a bunch of times. We're not going to go into those quite as much, but it is what it is.
He still got a PI call anyways. Like
he did.
The next
their
play,
very
that
next
was touchy.
play.
Yeah, it's that was even more. The officiating in this game, Zach, was weird because they would call touchy stuff and just miss blatant straight like grabs. And this was by both teams too, right? Like, I don't disagree that first pass that people are referencing should have been a hold on Forbes. That was more holding than the second play, the very next play. And it's just inconsistent is more my point.
Yeah, but I mean, Forbes matched up with SNG or SGN? JSN for 20 routes. He, 5 targets for 30 yards against Forge, only averaging 1.5 yards per matchup, which was a season low for JSN. So, and
he also matched up the most out of any corner this year, 1-on-1.
Yep. So impressive. I think he played pretty well with them. So someone who obviously was struggling a little bit, kind of in the beginning of his career is really evolving, and it's great to see.
Well, I feel like confidence, and the Zach, like in a career, when you're new and when you're coming in, you have you might be good at school, but like when you come into a full job, sometimes you need someone to pour into you and kind of build you up. And if you get thrown in the deep end, that can be very hard on you mentally. And he struggled mightily. And I don't think Washington did him any favors coaching wise. And we said it, he didn't have high expectations here because how the Rams got him. And plus, he was never supposed to be cornerback one for us. So, and I've been saying this, like, have patience with him, let him grow, and like, hopefully he can get to that point where like he was drafted to be elite cornerback. That would be great if that ends up for us, Zach. But I think how he's playing now, I'm more than happy with the pickup, and I think he has been a phenomenal addition to the team just the past few games.
Yeah, 100%. If I had a nitpick on anything from today's game, the defense, or from the defensive side of things too, they never got home. They never got home to Darnold, and
that line was holding. That line was holding a lot.
It was
That
holding a lot. Yeah, I don't
grabby,
disagree. But I'm saying
city.
if I'm going to nitpick, I'm going to nitpick just very minor things. Is going to be the not getting home for a sack, which I think this is the second week in a row that they've not done that. But again, the red zone defense is and then just eating up so much clock. Obviously we love the bend don't break. They rather you eat up some yards, but when we sometimes can't get the ball back over to the offense to give them an additional chance. Even though, yes, 4 interceptions definitely helped with that to try to give them another chance. But still need to clean that up a little bit. I want to see them kind of get some more 3 and outs, try to give the offense some more opportunities.
Steve says, what up, guys? Can't handle these high-stress games. Still getting over the World Series.
Yeah, I can't either. My anxiety level is through the roof. The Rams could be up 2 scores, and I'm still anxious the entire game. It doesn't matter. They could probably be up 3 scores, and I still know that at any time this thing could flip-flop.
Yeah, my stress was so high that last drive, the last Seahawks drive, because like at a certain point, because the Seattle was mismanaging the time pretty grotesquely, at least in my opinion. The way they were just very slow walking everything. They only had 1 timeout. I technically think when they threw the Shaheed, the time should have expired. I don't know what happened there. That was also weird. But why are we playing, Zach, when there's only 6 seconds on the clock? Why is everyone back like 10, 15 yards when they just need 5 or 10 yards for a field goal?
So they matched up. I mean, I rewatched that a couple times. They matched up and they were trying to hold everyone back and not getting into that sweet zone. There was only one person close enough to that field goal zone, and obviously that's the target they hit. Well, everybody else was covered really well.
Well, my point was like I thought we needed more coverage less in the 15 or 20 yard zone, because the problem with that is those routes develop time-wise so late. Like with 7 seconds, to be honest, you're not going to have time to go down and clock 9 times out of 10. Like they only
had a timeout. They didn't need to clock it. They had a timeout.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like by the time you go down 15 yards is very far to run with only 7 seconds to go.
But they were containing the players. They were containing the receivers, and so that's what they were doing. That's why most of them were back up against their high volume. I mean, against JSN, against
I get covering the touchdown further back. I don't know if it was like cover 3. I would have to go back to see what the actual play call.
I mean, they weren't farther than 15 to 20 yards from the line of scrimmage.
I just thought having people underneath kind of made sense, because like the chances of them throwing a quick slant or like a screen were pretty high. At least that's how I would have called that short yardage situation, just because they almost ran out of time just with the 7-yard completion. So the chances that you're going to get
silly.
Yeah, and so the chances that you're going to be able to throw something deeper, I just think it's less likely because of how long time-wise those routes take to develop. But it was an interesting game sequence on both sides, defensively and offensively.
Next question was, what happened to the 13 personnel? I think Seahawks. He did get hurt, but I think the Seahawks, again, I think they started to figure out a little bit. They went back to their normal 11 personnel, which helped secure a touchdown late in the game. But yeah, I think it was because personnel issues. Higbee went out, and
Well, so they were going heavier for the most part. And I think the biggest problem was because our like, again, our receiving game, this, for the most part, was off. Off enough that they could focus more on the run game and they didn't necessarily have to worry about the receiving threat from the tight ends. It would be interesting to go back through the tape and kind of see the adjustments why our tight ends didn't really get more receptions from that point of 13 personnel. But the running itself was hard. Even Kyron Williams had a lot of problems through the middle, which we haven't seen with the 13 personnel concept. You haven't seen a lot of teams sell out to beat the run because our receiving game has been so deadly because of Devontae, Puka, Ferguson, and Higbee.
And let's give kudos to the Seahawks defense. I mean, they played really well against
Fantastic.
our offense, and being able to really kind of shore up our passing game to prevent it from being that explosive that it can be. I mean, shoot, Devontae Adams was targeted 8 times and was only had 1 reception for that 1-yard touchdown. Something that he needs to clean up. Obviously, there was a couple passes that I think Stafford would like back. I think there's a couple passes that I think were super easy for Devontae Adams to normally get. So I think there was both sides had some issues, some connection issues, but things that they'll clean up as they prepare for the next week.
Yeah, ESG, I would agree. Like, and this is what I said going into this game. We haven't seen Darnold on this Seahawks roster many times where he's being rushed and where he doesn't have time and where the defense isn't completely controlling the game for the Seahawks. And you saw when that was kind of flipped, and we saw it's the story of his career. When he has pressure in his face, it's kind of similar to Goff, but Goff is a lot better at handling pressure, I would say, than Darnold. When it's not like designed for him to get around the pressure, he really struggles. And I think our defense is so well built to apply pressure on the quarterback. You have to be a really savvy vet and know the perfect counters, the perfect answers to the book, like questions, to be able to counter that effectively. And he just couldn't this game. He really struggled.
What's up with Ferguson? I just don't think they had enough opportunities on the offensive side of the field. I mean, obviously Stafford had 28 passes.
He struggled to block. I was watching him specifically, and he was struggling with some blocks. Now, Seattle has a really good D-line. Lawrence destroyed the game last week. I believe. Did they play the Cardinals last week? Kind of destroyed the game for the Cardinals last week, but he was just going through our tight ends. And for the most part, their entire D-line was doing a good job of beating our tight ends blocking wise.
Yep.
At least that's what I saw. And if you're not blocking well and you're only receiving, and this where 13 personnel breaks down, if you can't be receiving threat, then it's way more easier to call defensive plays against you.
Yeah. Before we move on to our next topic about injuries updates, what'd you guys think of the chat? What'd you guys think of the midnight jerseys? We'll talk about that after we talk about injuries, but we'll just want to get your guys' feedback. You can drop those in the live chat or in our comments below. We'll take a look at it after the video. But let's talk about injuries real quick. 2 big injuries that happened during the game. One of them was Xavier Smith. He went out with a concussion hit. That was a big hit that he took head to head.
Probably should have been targeting. I don't know why they didn't even review that.
Yeah, I mean, he was already on the ground and he got charged in the head. So I don't know. Weird. And then the second one was Quentin Lake. He went out with, I believe it's a knee injury. I'm going to verify that real quick.
And Higbee. Higbee also. Did Higbee come back? Is that why you're not listing him?
I think Higbee came back. Yeah.
Okay. I think he might have been an ankle. I can't remember.
Yeah, and we almost thought Verse went down for a bit, but he came bouncing back off and was able to come
Whew.
back after the next play. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one scared me
You
the
want Verse
most,
to
I
come
think,
back.
out of all of them. So yeah, the other outstanding play that I'll talk about real quick, I think, was from Ethan Evans. Obviously, our special teams doesn't always look good, but I think this week they did not. They performed well, and Ethan Evans definitely should get a game ball after getting it within the half-yard line.
He might be special teams player of the week for NFC because of
It was a
that.
beautiful kick.
It's
Beautiful
why we
kick.
won the game. It's why it's literally the funny thing, Zach, was we said special teams would be a big component to this game. Seattle having to force a big special teams play to probably win this game, and the Rams just not needing to explode on special teams. And our punter, who has been really good in the last few years, had a clutch kick.
Yeah, it was
Couldn't
great.
be better.
Beautiful. You couldn't ask for anything better.
No.
You couldn't. I don't think it literally could have been any better.
No, not an inch better. It was amazing. And you saw with the kick, and I think Brian brought this up. Kick was short, like every yard counts. Because how that game script kind of went on that final drive, they were using up so much time because of how backed up they were. And that a really loud kind of like a rush. It wasn't a rush kick, but a difficult field goal. And, 61 yarders aren't automatic.
Typically don't come for the jersey talk, but I'm not sure how I feel about them. Leaning towards lukewarm, just doesn't pop for me. Honestly, I thought they looked really sharp on the field. I thought it was a bold take. I thought it was pretty unique. I know that the Steelers can be black and yellow, whatever, but I think the blue gave it enough pop to make it different. So I actually really enjoyed them on the field. I was kind of surprised. I was really hoping them for more of a prime time game, but I thought they looked good. I thought they stood out. Obviously, I'm repping one now, and I will continue to rep one. We try not to talk too much jersey talk, except for obviously the once a season that you're going to be able to wear them. That we like to talk about them. What were your thoughts, Ashton? Are you going to go buy one now that you saw them on the field?
So I'll say this. It looks better on TV. It looks better on TV than the promos. I'll give it credit. I really liked how, like, in certain, like, ways, how the light reflected to the camera, it looked like kind of like a popping blue almost. It was really weird because it did.
I know, I'm not going to go barely.
That high. But it looked better on TV than I expected. It's not my cup of tea. Still not. I don't see black as a big color for the Rams. I just want all yellow personally, but I love Color Rush 2018, my favorite jerseys, and hopefully we get that next season. But they still look fine. They look fine to me, and I'm happy they won in them. It looks better after a win. I will say that.
I'm fearful of what an all yellow jersey would look like. I feel like it's going to look like a bunch of big birds like running around on the field. That's my personal opinion, but we'll leave it at that. It was Cooper Kupp's homecoming back to LA. They gave a tribute video to him at the very beginning. You heard a lot of Coops when he did finally catch 2 balls at the in the fourth quarter, towards the very end of the game. But yeah, I mean, he had, what was it? Three receptions for 23 yards. Yeah, Cooper Kupp came home. Glad they didn't win. I still love Cooper Kupp, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I get it from a player perspective. He was a little like, I don't know why they're playing a tribute video to me when they cut me type deal.
And he's not dead.
And he's not dead. I'm happy they did it because he deserves that because all his time here. I think it does lack a little self-reflection given how everything went last year and how stuff has been going in Seattle for him to kind of make it out as if like he was performing at a offensive player of the year caliber rate and they cut him after that. So, you know, I still love Cooper Kupp. He's a great guy. Love his attitude. And, I wish him all the best.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Every team does it. When Stafford, obviously not during the playoff wild card game, but when Stafford went back to Detroit in a playoff game, they had a tribute video for him there. Like, this thing happens to every player who had a successful record, and they go back and they're facing them at the opposing team. It happens every time. So it's not a shocker that the Rams would do this. Plus, Cooper Kupp is a fan favorite. He's still a fan favorite. He will always be a fan favorite. We've gone through many of players who have gone to rivalry teams, and we still call their name and give them all their kudos, even to this day. So, but Cooper Kupp's a legend. He's a Rams legend for life, whether he plays for the Seahawks or whatnot. He deserves the kudos. Triple Crown winner, Super Bowl MVP. Wouldn't have been able to win that Super Bowl without him.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done talking about Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. You want to talk about these DBs and just cooking. Safeties had a good game. Man, Cam Kitchens, I don't know if like a Seahawk coach cut him off one morning 2 years ago, or like his child got punched in the face by a Seahawk fan or something. He doesn't like the Seahawks. He really doesn't. I think he has now 4 or 5 picks against the Seahawks. Just Seahawks and he almost housed the other one.
Yeah, they were great. They really played well. And again, this is why the Rams knew that they had good DBs, or they would have tried to go out and get some more at the trade deadline. They knew what they had. They didn't want to bend future capital on something that they know that they actually have the talent if they can just tweak a couple of things. I mean, again, this defense has been playing lights out, second in points again. So they're not in a rush to make big changes. They knew they have the personnel in house. They know more than what we do. And obviously it shows because they're playing really good ball when it matters most.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the yardage stuff. And again, I will admit, our DBs aren't the greatest. We don't have a top 10 DB core. But a lot of the yardage stuff is a scheme thing. It's kind of built where we're like, you're not going to have an explosive pass or explosive run on us. And you're either going to live on 5 to 8 yard checkdowns, or you're going to get impatient and you're going to turn it over. And I think that was the surprising thing, Zach, was we had seen, besides the Indy game, no one tried to shoot down the field consistently on us. And guess what? This is the only other game in what Jones had 2 picks that game, and Darnold has 4. And those are probably our season highs for picks, and it's on the only times when teams try to throw deep on us.
Yeah. So definitely don't. I just don't think that they should. No one should, from now moving forward, take our DBs for granted. Now, I will say that hopefully Quentin Lake is just a short-term injury and that he's able to bounce back, because I do think that we do need him on the field. I think he brings just that veteran presence that I think that we need. But I'm very confident with the team that's around him to make a big defensive push the rest of the stretch.
Akello also helps with those big physical wide receivers, which they don't really have in Seattle right now. Like they had with DK Metcalf. He would have been a problem today with our current DB core, just with their size and everything. Yeah. But JSN is a really strong athletic player, but he's not running over our DBs and mossing them. And that's what we've struggled with, those type of AJ Brown type of wide receivers. So you could tell we're going to be very matched up depending on when we really struggle to kind of contain the pass.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah. Let's see.
Good times.
It was a wild game, man. Up to the end, Nate Landman with 6 tackles. He was running everywhere. Emmanuel Forbes. Do you want to talk about Emmanuel Forbes a little bit? He got a pick, right? I believe he did, or no?
Say that again.
No, he did not get a pick. That was Kobe Durant, Kitchens, and then I'm blanking right now.
Who got picks?
Yeah, picks.
It was Kitchens, Williams, and Durant. Kitchens got 2, Williams got 1.
Oh yeah, Darius Williams. Yeah, but he didn't get picked, but he did get that big pass breakup, stopping the touchdown red zone. How do you think he played? I know you mentioned he did a pretty good job on JSN comparatively. Jason still had his yardage this year, or not year, and this week, but he did pretty good one-on-one.
Yeah, no, I think he played really well. And you just see in this team evolve, and each player is starting to become a person of their own and becoming a highlight reel for themselves. And that's something that I love. Obviously people are always going to remember the Verses and the Byron Youngs and, now Landman with his punch outs, and every player on the Rams defensive team is going to have their specialty. I just love being able to kind of identify players based on, their certain expertises. And, we're really finding that with this DB crew and being able to identify. That's awesome.
Yeah, and credit the Puna forward. He had 4 tackles. He had a few big stops on 3rd down. I think he has been a very underrated element of this defense, playing just fantastic. Not only getting pressures, but also being a big element in why the Rams are one of the top run defenses in the league.
Yeah, definitely. And that 4th down stop that they had was great, forcing them to punt the ball away. I think that they wanted to go for it, but on 4th and 1, but they were in their own, 35-ish yard line. So obviously
I think it was like 43 or something. And that was on the push, the Seattle push or whatever. And they had a false start on that earlier in the game themselves, which is kind of getting frustrating to watch, but
sure, but it was a good stop, and really had to make them think about forcing it and punting it away. So very big kudos to them.
Yeah. Let's see, Omar Speights, 3 tackles, 4 assists. He also was doing a pretty good job. Yeah, I mean, and we said it going into this game, Seattle is a real defense and a real offense. I think me and you both agreed that the people are like, oh, if the Seahawks don't win this, they're not a contender. Me and you don't agree with that. Like, they're a top NFC team. They're good.
If this game was completely lopsided, like let's say the Rams won, 30,
33,
30, like even 28-12. Let's say it was that. Then I think you could have said that maybe they were pretenders if they could only kick field goals. And the Rams could only score touchdowns. Like if you're talking about that, maybe you could say it in that light. But something that came down to a 2-point game, and they almost came back and kind of pushed the field down. They gave themselves a shot for a field goal at the end. I really do think that this Seahawks team is a good team. I think that's what this story told us.
Yeah, I just think overall the Rams have a better, more balanced, cohesive offense, and our defense is just slightly better at applying pressure, which is uniquely troublesome for Darnold. And the question for Seattle is, how can you make it through these games if Darnold starts to have questionable decision making? And he does show at points where if the running game isn't working, you put the ball in his hands, he can struggle mightily under pressure. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how they answer that in the upcoming games because they hadn't played a lot of very hard opponents up to this point, at least in my opinion. They had one or two really tough high end talent teams, the Bucks, before they were ultra injured. They were kind of injured that game, but they're ultra injured now. But besides that, Seattle just hasn't shown it against a top end NFC talent, and I think they did show it this game.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold came in with 6 interceptions on the year, and he just got 4 more by the Rams in one game. So he has to be able to make better decisions if he wants to, kind of compete in that next level. That's what he's going to have to clean up. I mean, Stafford, yes, we got down the ball down quite a bit. He went another game without interceptions. We also didn't have a whole lot of playing time out on the field. The Seahawks dominated time of possession, 37 to like 22. So it's definitely something that the Rams, I would like it to be a little bit more even than that.
Yeah, I was just going to add on to your point, Zach, that the Seattle has been one of the best deep ball throwing teams in the entire league. And you saw that they did not want to change from that game plan. And that was kind of a mistake. It really was, because they lost this game because they were trying to throw deep and they couldn't. That's why they lost. It's because our defense was able to turn that into picks and better field position for an offense that really couldn't throw it the entire game. They could only run it. And not like it was half and half between successful runs and not.
Yep. So, like I said, was somebody I think put in the comment, it was kind of a boring game. It was a very defensive game. Like if you were looking for them to, just drive down the field and, score touchdowns and stuff like that. I think the 4 interceptions, I think I jumped up and down louder than I would for a touchdown because, it felt sometimes that the Rams, it felt something different. It felt new. It felt exciting. It felt a turn when sometimes we get anxiety when the offense is on the field, but when the defense comes out, yes, we know that they could take it down the field, but usually it ends typically with a field goal, if not better situation, they have to punt. But being able to see 4 picks in one game from this defense, I think really just it was a breath of fresh air, I think, for us.
Well, I mean, you got to give the defense credit. Like every time they were called, like give the offense another chance, give the offense another chance, give the offense another chance. And this offense, execution-wise, had probably the second worst game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And we were still able to come out with a win. And I'm happy to see that. This is the defense we have seen all year, in defense we saw at the end of last year, when that can apply pressures and get the ball away in different facets.
100%. I think that we have seen like you said, we've seen consistency within the defense and actually just more improvement each and every week. And I think that's what tells. We haven't seen too much of a game where we had to rely solely on our offense to keep us in the game. It has happened, but it's very rare that happened.
Yeah, I mean, you go back through our games, and I would say the only time that you really question the defense and like its ability is probably the Colts game, and you could make an argument the first 49ers game. I still think the Eagles game that has a whole host of reasons why we lost that game. I'll just put it that way.
Whole slew of reasons that if you want to find out those reasons, you can go watch our recap episode of that episode. We'll put a plug in if you want to go back and watch that. But yeah, again, it was a squeaky win that the Rams needed. But a win's a win. When it comes down to it, it only matters the number of wins, the number of losses, and it doesn't matter how big they won or how small they won. It's a win, and we'll move on to the next phase, which is Sunday Night Football against the Bucks.
Bucks.
It's gonna be a good game, I think. What are the Bucks now? They are 6-4, but we are playing at home, so
The Bucks have been, and we can just touch on this real quickly because I've been watching Emeka Buka outside of drafting him in most of my fantasy teams. I've been watching them because I just love to watch Mbuka play. He is such a great rookie wideout, and you know how much I wanted him, Zach, and he has just looked so great for the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
They are battered so badly on that O-line, and that's really been the biggest struggle. Like, their backup wide receivers have been really good. Tez Johnson and Buka have played well, so that's going to be a challenge for our cornerbacks. But that O-line has lost so many key playmakers. It's going to be hard to see how our D-line doesn't eat this game. Baker is good, but Baker can only do so much. And a lot of his production in the last few games have been because he's been able to scramble and make outrageous plays, like kind of what we saw when he was with the Rams.
Yeah.
And you just put him in negative situations. And I feel like this Bucks team has been kind of underwhelming because it's taken on so many injuries on the offensive line. They haven't been able to kind of catch up to that last few weeks.
Yep. Cool. Well, it's going to be Sunday Night Football back in LA. It's going to be great.
Anytime.
Following week, we'll be in Carolina. We will be in Carolina. Both me and Ashton should be there live and in person. So it's going to be fun to watch that as well. We'll hope to have a preview episode. We'll give you guys more details about that on the Bucks game later on this week. To find all of the updates about when we go live and things like that, you can find us on X at East Coast Rams. We're also on Threads and Instagram at East Coast Rams Pod, and you can search for us on Blue Sky at East Coast Rams. Ashton, anything else you want to say before we wrap this episode up?
Just quick shout out for Veterans Day again. Happy Veteran Day for all that celebrated. Thank you for your service. Definitely, it is an honor to be able to serve the country. It's amazing, and I hope everyone else enjoyed all the nice discounts that you get on that day. But looking forward, I'm happy the Rams got the dub. It's very big for seeding. I think if the Eagles lose, the Rams are the 1 seed. Not 100% sure on that. But doesn't matter now. The season's not over, Zach. And we got to finish strong. Finish this year strong. Get that 1 seed. Get that bye. And I feel like this team is special. This is a special team. But we got to see that execution get buttoned up a little bit more and get hot at the right time.
I think technically we currently have the 1 seed, but if they win, then we would. If the Eagles win, then they'll take the 1 seed over because they beat us. But currently we have it until at least the end of this game. At the end of the Lions.
September 1 seed award achieved.
That's right. So yeah, it's going to be a great week. If you guys are watching us live on YouTube, please make sure you guys like and subscribe to this episode and subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/@EastCoastRams. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're following us on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever. Please make sure that you go to youtube.com/@EastCoastRams and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you want to be notified each and every time that we drop a new video, a new short, or when we go live. So great win. This is our midnight edition, repping it. Don't know how long we're going to rep it for, but we'll keep it up maybe for this week until we get into next week. But with that, we will see you guys next time. Whose house? Rams house.